Good morning, Year 4. Our maths today then, we are continuing to look at decimals, and today we're going to put them onto a place value grid. So we've already started to look at this in arithmetic this week, and we will continue in maths. So our anchor task then, what is a tenth? So could you talk to me about the relationship between tenths and other numbers, for example hundredths or ones? How many different ways can we write a tenth, and what can we use to represent it? We're thinking about the apparatus at the bottom of the flip chart that you can see here. Okay, so pause the video and make some notes in your book how you could answer these questions. So, looking at place values then. Here we have our ones column. Now we're very used to seeing our ones and our tenths and our hundreds and our thousands columns, but today we're going to look at the other side of the ones columns, okay? And we have our tenths, and our tenths are separated by a big black dot, and this is called our decimal point, okay? And it goes between the ones column and the tenths column. It doesn't go anywhere else in the place value grid, only between the ones and the tenths, because everything this side of our place value grid is whole numbers and everything this side is talking about fractions. So how can we represent 1/10? Let's have a look at our place value grid then. This column here is called the tenths column, and if we have 1/10, okay, then we could represent that by putting one counter in our tenths column. We could also represent it by just popping the number 1 in our tenths column, okay, and we have nothing in our ones column, so we would pop in our placeholder to show we have nothing in this column. So how do you think we could represent 3/10 or 6/10 or 9/10? Okay, so we will represent 3/10 by obviously popping in a 3, or 6/10 by popping in a 6, or 9/10 by popping a 9 in the tenths column. Okay, so this is how our fractions and decimals are equivalent, because 1/10 as a fraction is shown as 0.1 as a decimal. So we also know that when we move through our place value grid, our columns get 10 times bigger. So ones are 10 times bigger than tenths, and tenths are 10 times smaller than ones. So I need 10/10 for me to have 1/1. Okay, so let's have a look at this here. We have, how many tenths have we got? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. We've got 11/10, and we can't do that because that's an improper fraction. There's too many tenths in our place value grid. So this is when we need to start to look at exchanging. So we know that we can exchange 10/10 just like we would with our ones and tens and hundreds. 10 is that magic number. We can exchange 10/10 here for 1/1, because 10/10 are equivalent to 1 whole, and we know that from our fractions work. So our number now shows 1.1, because we have 1/1, because we've exchanged our 10/10 to make 1 whole, and then we have 1/10 left over, so 1.1. And this is what you're going to be looking at for silver. So let's have a little look. There are how many ones and how many tenths? So the decimal represented is, and our partition number sentence. So this is what bronze would look like. So there are, well, I can see that there are 2 ones, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tenths. So my decimal is 2.5, because I have 2 ones and 5 tenths. So my partition number sentence is 2 add 0.5, remembering my placeholder because I've got nothing in my ones column, is 2.5. So this is what you are going to do for bronze. Let's have a go at the next one. Okay, so here we have 1 and 4/10. So the decimal is 1.4. So our partition number sentence is 1 plus 0.4 is 1.4. Okay, so that's now 2 examples of how to complete bronze. Okay, so here are your bronze questions, and they are on a separate PDF on the website if they are too small. And here are your silver questions. Now your silver questions are going to involve using exchanging, which is what we've just looked at. So you will have too many tenths, so you'll have to remember to exchange them for some more ones. Okay, so pause the video and start bronze or silver now. When you have done that, then you are moving on to gold, and gold is starting to look at reasoning and problem solving. So Preston spilled orange juice on his place value grid. He says, I used 11 counters. Okay, there was an even number in the ones column. What decimal numbers could Preston have made? So I know I need 11 counters. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Ooh, 11. So I have to have an even number in the ones column. So I know then my even numbers are 2, 4, 6 or 8, because I can only have one digit in each column. So it has to be one of these numbers. Okay, so in the ones column, if I had 2, then I must have had the rest of my counters in my tenths column. So my number could have been 2.2468, oh, 9, 2.9. Okay, what about if I had 4 in my ones column? Okay, so this time it could have been 4.2467. Or if I had 6 counters in my ones column, because I'm working down my even numbers and I'm looking for all the possibilities that Preston could have had. So he's got 6.5 now. And finally, if he had 8 in his ones column, then he would have had 8.3. So I found all the possibilities that Preston could have made. Okay, another kind of question from gold then. Leanne is using a place value grid to make decimal numbers, and she says she's made 6.7 using 12 counters. Is she correct? Prove it. So let's check. What does her number represent? So I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ones, and I've put my decimal point in, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tenths. So that shows 7.5. But Leanne says she's made 6.7. So is she correct? No. So Leanne is incorrect. She has shown the decimal 7.5. Okay. So I have answered my question and I've given the correct answer as well when it was wrong. So if you are moving on to gold, then your questions can be found on the website, or they are here for you to have a little look at. And finally, if you do complete gold, you have some independent platinum questions to be getting on with. So thinking about different possibilities for your answers, and then an explanation question as well. We can't wait to see your maths learning. Please remember to send it in and send us a message if you need any help whatsoever.